Everyone, so welcome to Investing with Values. So today I want to take a look at a certain man who is making a big splash in the pond, and his name is Chamath. So this is a guy who is just showing up everywhere now. Like, I think he used to just occasionally appear on TV channels and whatnot, but these days when it comes to investing world, it's very hard not to see the name Chamath. And particularly now that he's just come out with all these special acquisition companies, also known as SPACs. Yeah, his name is showing up in so many news articles, and well, yeah, no, it kind of makes sense because he's doing things that we're all pretty interested in. So we consider that Virgin Galactic came on the market, and how did it come on the market? It came through a merger with a SPAC. Rather than like the traditional capital, without having to negotiate with investment bankers and all whatnot. And it also gives investors direct access to companies still in a startup type of phase, where it's still kind of using up a lot of cash but also growing pretty quick at the same time. So it kind of benefits both the company and the investors, and it kind of cuts out the investment bankers, and it takes out the need for roadshows, exposures in terms of marketing to more investors to boost demand for your stocks. So I kind of see this as, a win-win for both. So I kind of see this as also a situation where it's like following the smart money, right? So if you look at the Nasdaq IPO page, you'll see here there's another 3 companies that Chamath is actually listing, and they all come on here at $10 a share, though they raise different amounts of money. So when you're looking at these companies, you want to know how much money they actually hold compared to their market valuation. And yeah, so if we look at, say, like Virgin Galactic, we can see it's actually done really well in the past 12 months, going from its around about its $10 zone to $21. And then we look at his other SPAC, which is going to be merging with Open Door, and is also gone from $10 to $21, and that's even in a shorter amount of time. Ever since they announced the merger, or ever since he's become well known, people have been interested in what he gets into, and this guy has just shown that he can get the deals done. So if we look at this one, this is IPOB. Since they all have the same name, you either identify by the number or by the stock code, and he does it A, B, C, D. He even has a page, so he's got the A, which is Virgin Galactic, and he's got B, which we use for Open Door. And recently announced, C will be for Clover Health, so you can look at Clover Health, how this company is tackling the health industry, and apparently doing a really good job of that. So I mean, it sounds like a company that's really worth looking into. So we already have another 2 opportunities coming onto the market. The thing is, this one's already basically doubled in price, and then we still have C, which is for Clover Health, and it's still at this relative $10 mark. So potentially there's some gain to be made here. And we look at all the rest of these, and there's so many more coming on. So this kind of begs the question: do you just follow the smart money and just buy these SPACs? So I'm actually quite curious in addressing this question, because every time he's involved in opportunity, it tends to do really well. And I think he's got the connections, and he knows what he wants to look for, and he actually personally invests in these companies. So I think it gives a lot of confidence when you're looking at these companies and feeling like, should I invest in these or not? Of course, you don't want to overpay at the same time, but looking at these opportunities, they look pretty good, don't they? Like, it's so far, this guy has a very, very impressive track record when it comes to investing. He's personally worth over $1 billion, and anyone that can just make the money he's made, you kind of have to say he's doing something right. So there's a bit of trust in his ability to find these opportunities, even if they don't end up making a ton of money at the end of the day. I feel like they're going to make more than initial pricing of $10 when they come onto the market. So I'm looking at these, and I think this guy, he has a tremendous ability, and to just find these really good companies that just want to list on the market, and since they're basically listed on the market and they just have to do a merger, it kind of takes out the time it takes for a normal company to list a normal way, and also takes away the heavy costs and effort that might be required as well. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, do we just consider, should we just take a bet on Chamath and go, every SPAC he puts onto the market, is it just worth buying? Because you would probably make more than the average person does in the stock market with, say, an index fund, just by buying any of his SPACs when they're on the initial price. Because so far, his record's pretty good. We're looking at 3 incredible companies that are going to do really well in the future. And he's shown he enjoys cherry picking these companies that look towards the future, and the longer you hold it, the better you are in terms of the value it just accrues to you. So that's a big question. Do you just trust the smart money, right? Because we can kind of look at the earlier listing of Snowflake, and we saw Warren Buffett had invested in this company, and it's kind of like he has this following that if anything he touches, people kind of have this trust and belief that it has a very strong opportunity, that it's been vetted, the due diligence is done, and the company is likely to perform very, very well in the long term. And I'm looking at this and I feel like this is potentially one of those situations where we're seeing one of the better investors around, and he's finding these incredible opportunities that you just have to be invested in his SPAC, and you just do well off it naturally, in a sense, because he's picking the best stuff in the market currently for you. So yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm going, do you just buy D and E and F after it comes onto the market? When does it come onto the market? So we're looking at about basically today, right? Upcoming, not quite today, is it? Not 10th. Next week. So we look at next week and we go, okay, these 3 companies are coming onto the market. Should I just buy them? And I kind of feel like just a really strong inclination to say yes, that if you just buy any of these 3, potentially he's going to choose a very good company to merge with, and naturally the share price is just going to boost up. I don't see $10 holding around for very long. I think the minute it comes on the market and he finds an opportunity, it could do very well. Though the big question begs here, why is this only at $10.50 after it's been disclosed the merger of Clover Health? What kind of usually happens is the closer to the merger, the usual case, the price tends to move up in anticipation of that. We can kind of see with IPOB, where recently it's just moved up 13%, and that's the thing. As the date gets closer, people kind of just push it up more, and I think you can actually earn a higher rate of return than the market, just by, in a sense, following the smart money, because he's doing all the hard work for you. And if you're just an investor just looking for a decent return, I think he's going to do very well for you. He's so far proven that he's got a very, very good track record when it comes to finding these companies, and anyone that's invested into these opportunities so far has done very well. So yeah, I'm definitely interested what your thoughts are. Let me know what you would do if you if you had the spare capital and you've got these companies right in front of you, or do you have other better opportunities? Because at the end of the day, we're looking at these personalities, and they've got enough money that it's not about just earning more money entirely. It's also about their reputation, about for them creating opportunities for other industries and companies, and they want to leave a legacy behind where they're remembered for good things rather than just like you wouldn't really just go to $1 billion and just do something silly and try to scam people. So I think what he's brought to the table is he's brought all these good opportunities, and any investor that's interested, I think, if you buy into it, it's potentially some incredible gains for a very short amount of time. If I guess for about probably like 3 to 12 month holding period, you would probably make easily much higher than normal market returns. Which in the case of if you're an investor and you're buying into an index fund, you'd probably do better investing in these companies because they're looking at the future and they tend to be very high growth companies, so they're accruing value at a much quicker rate than say a normal index fund would. So that's kind of what I really favor when it comes to these type of companies, but that's just me. I like my risks, I like my growth, but if you don't like the whole, there's risks and there's, you don't know what you're investing into, then I guess, it's very fair to say you wouldn't be interested in these opportunities. But I'm looking at this and going, Chamath has put together all these great SPACs, some that are already connected to merge, and then there's another 3 that we don't know what they are, but I think he's going to find some incredible companies for these 3, and if you don't mind waiting, I think he's going to surprise you with some incredible companies, and you're going to do very well just having patience and holding them, I think. So I think it's a bit like King the Surprise, right? You don't know what you're buying, but potentially you might get something incredible, or even at best you still get a very, very good investment out of it. Because I don't see the price going lower, because the companies he's bringing to the table, they tend to be fantastic companies that have the next 5 or 10 years will be creating a huge pathway in terms of disruption, but also a lot of value for shareholders. So yeah, definitely would be interested in what your thoughts are, or if you have any questions, just post below. But I thought it just might change things up and then talk about a situation like this where you're essentially following smart money rather than going, I'm making a decision investing in a company that I know very well and looking at the financials. Here you don't quite get the same situation of looking at the financials because you don't know what the merger will be, but like in the surprise, you've got the nice chocolate shell, and then you hope once you've broken through that sweet chocolate shell, you essentially get a nice toy that's quite valuable inside, and it's also in a way really fun as well. So yeah, I thought, why not just this is certainly what I'm looking at right now, rather than just trying to cherry pick companies in a sense, because the value is low enough that essentially you just have to find something decent. And I think these SPACs will do very well in terms of share price and growth for the future. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.